What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a Two Penny Games review. This time, Mario Kart World. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with our lead reviewer and player of Mario Kart World. Say hello to the people, Phil Shoemaker.
Hello.
How you doing
That's
today,
me.
Phil?
I'm pretty good. Voice a little hoarse, but it's me.
Good.
I'm here.
Good.
I love
nice.
love Nintendo. I love Mario Kart. I love the Switch 2.
Excellent. Yeah. So Switch 2 is here. Mario Kart World is here. You landed your hands on a nice little bundle. You got the bundle of the two things. So you've been playing some Mario Kart World. Could you
Yes, I have.
possibly, is it even possible for you to estimate how many hours you've put into Mario Kart World?
So that's one piece of information that I did not get coming into this. I would say I've put in 10-ish hours.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Probably. Okay. I don't know. Just from like late night playing before work, playing with my wife.
Gotcha. What have you, like, in terms of like milestones in the game, what have you achieved?
I've gotten, I think, pretty much all the characters. So they do something weird in this game where like they treat costumes of characters as separate characters, like at least on the menu. I wish they were more compact on the list. I've done all the different Grand Prix. I've played all the different game modes. It's just only 2 battle modes in this one. I know they've kind of done a few others on other games in the past. It's really just the balloon battle, and then I think they call it like Coin Rush or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And I've done, I think, 4 of the different knockout tours. Which is essentially like a run of 6 different courses. It's like the battle royale where the bottom 4 get knocked out every single time. I explored.
You have to use the open world to like rush to the next map. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah, but you're still on rails as if you were playing a Grand Prix. Like it's not as free and open as you would expect.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
I've also explored a very decent amount of the open world. I've done a lot of the side challenges that they have available for you. Yesterday, Ash, my wife, she was running around finding the little P switches for me to complete the challenges, and we were just kind of hanging out, having fun together.
Good. Very good. All right. Well, then let's go ahead and get into it. Let's jump into your review of Mario Kart World.
All right. Well, Mario Kart World is a great game. I would say that in terms of where I would rank it, in terms of like my favorite Mario Kart games in the series, I would say I think Mario Kart 8 is overall a more fun, more tight in terms of like the action and kind of what you're getting type deal. I think I like that one just maybe a little bit better. Mario Kart World, though, I like the way that it controls. Where if I would say Mario Kart 8 was a amazing, what we call a 9 in our scale, I would say it's just below that. Mario Kart World is just below that. But running around the open world, it's fairly empty. Mario Kart World, there's every once in a while you'll run into a different racer on your roster, and sometimes they'll be wearing a fun costume that you've collected for them. But in terms of like the varied different challenges you can complete in the open world, it's kind of lacking. I'll say that. There's certain different driving challenges you can complete, certain ones where you have to avoid certain obstacles, otherwise you'll have to restart. Collecting blue coins is a very, very popular one for one of the challenges. I just wish there was more going on in the open world. We did find, I don't know if you remember, Tavin, in the trailer for Mario Kart World, there was at the point where you can go into this like big rig. You go into the back of a big rig and you control the big rig. That stuff is really fun. But it's just, I wish more interesting stuff like that would happen in the open world and kind of like random events would happen. I did see weirdly like a UFO flying around, but it didn't really do anything. It was kind of just hanging out.
You are supposed to like, they can like abduct you and you can control the UFO.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I didn't do that. I drove right underneath it and it didn't.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I drove right underneath it and that didn't happen. So I'll have to, next time I see one, I'll drive right up to it and see if it'll abduct me. I think where this game shines is the knockout tour. I think that's the most fun element of this game, and that's the new mode where it's the you have 24 racers in a race now, which is double the regular amount of racers in Mario Kart 8 and all the other ones. I think before even in the past, it was only 8 racers. But 24 racers, it's a very crowded track, and the knockout tour is very interesting. It's very frantic. It keeps kind of the blood pumping, where like maybe you'll get hit by an item, you'll drop down to 12th, and you need to be in 8th place in order to get to it. So you got to get back up there. But every time you hit a checkpoint, it eliminates the bottom 4 racers. So you'll go from 24 to 20 to 16, 12, 8, 4, and then you'll just go for the win. And it's a great time. There's a few new items in the game. There's like that coin shell, which is really good. There's a question block, which you just you mash the item button a bunch of times and collect a bunch of coins. I think one thing that I think this game is kind of missing in terms of items is like that kind of big grand like item that kind of is all of them. Like, on Mario Kart 8 there was the 8 where like it was the figure 8 of all the different items. I think we need some kind of like big master item type deal in this. They brought back the Mega Mushroom, which was really cool. That was an item in Mario Kart Wii where like you become big and you flatten all the other racers. That's really good. I think the music in this game, being old tracks from not even just Mario Kart tracks, but the series at large. Like I went from tracks from the Bowser's Fury. There was a track from Bowser's Fury that went into the kind of like a jazzy instrumental version of the underwater theme from the first game. It's very, very cool the way it kind of weaves in all these different versions of old songs. There was a Jump Up Superstar. There was a nice little orchestral version of that I heard the other day. But I'm really into the music and how it brings back a lot of old tracks. I do wish it was more, what's the word I'm looking for? More contextual, like in terms of like what was going on around you. It seems like it's kind of, they'll just play a random song, at least in the open world. I wish it was more contextual. It's like, hey, I'm in kind of a watery segment. I want like more of a water type vibe. And if I'm kind of rushing through the city, I want more of like the metropolitan, like Jump Up Superstar, Mario Odyssey type deal. But it's kind of just a random thing. I think during the actual Grand Prix themselves, I think it does a better job of being more contextual. I think the tracks themselves, I wish they were more varied. I think because of the sheer amount of different players on screen and in one race at one time, they kind of have to make room, and so a lot of tracks just kind of feel like a big open straightaway or like a very wide like highway almost.
Is there 24 racers in just normal Grand Prix as well?
In every single race there is 24 racers.
Jesus. Yes.
And that's where I wish it was more just a 12-person race if you hit a Grand Prix and 24 if you're doing knockout tour. If it was more different in that way, I think it would have been better in my eyes. But it's just a lot of the tracks end up kind of feeling too similar. I think this, on a side note, I think this is the best Rainbow Road that we've seen in games. Rainbow Road kind of is a fun one that unlocks after you beat all the other Grand Prix. There's like the special cup that unlocks, so like you have the 4 different races after that. And I think this is the coolest, kind of most varied. It was also very long, and it didn't feel overly long. It felt like still kind of high intensity, kind of very frantic feeling that you're kind of looking for in a Mario Kart. I think controlling the car also feels pretty good. It takes a minute it feels a little looser than it did in Mario Kart 8, and that's not always a bad thing. There are some moments where I do wish it was clearer in terms of like I miss the being able to adjust your cart kind of how you could in Mario Kart 8. There's no cart customization in that way in this. It's really just a set cart with whatever stats, and they don't change depending on like what parts, because there's no different parts. I also wish it was clearer who is like a heavy character, a medium character, a light character, because they were kind of organized in their own little like their own little areas in the character select screen for Mario Kart 8. You can kind of be like, okay, you have all the light people here, you have all the heavy people like more down low, right? And they're kind of just all over the place here. A lot of the costumes are really cool. Trying to think, what else haven't I touched on? Do you have any other questions or anything? Or
So describe to me this character select screen, because in the all the preview stuff, it looked like it was like character sheets, and so like my understanding was like this is the Mario page, and all the Mario costumes are all on this one page, and you got to scroll through these pages to find the actual character you want.
Yes. And that's not how it starts, but you can organize it to be that way.
Okay.
Because when you start the game, you don't have any of the alternate costumes. So it has them all put together. But then whenever you unlock a new costume, it'll drop it to the end. But you can sort them you can hit like a quick sort button, and it'll have them all together where they're supposed to be with their selected character with their costumes and everything.
Yeah, that's not,
so it just becomes like a character select grid. I do wish that it was like, hey, I'm picking this character and I want to wear this costume, right?
Yeah, I would imagine
like
they would have done what they did in Mario Kart 8, where it's like the Shy Guys or the Yoshis, where you click the thing and then you can pick the color. I would have imagined it was like, here's Mario in a sombrero, here's Mario in a samurai
or like
outfit.
like a Smash, like when you're playing Smash, right? Like you can pick the different color variants that way too. But there's nothing like that. It's literally just each costume is its own character, quote unquote.
Okay, that's a choice.
Yeah, it is a choice. It is a choice.
Right. I don't mind from what you're saying. I don't mind like the carts being simplified to having standard carts. To me, the customization of the carts made them all kind of feel the same. And so it was just aesthetically, what did you want? To me, but maybe it's just because I didn't experiment enough.
I was doing a lot of experimenting whenever I was playing a lot of Mario Kart 8, and I kind of had my set like equation of like what kind of cart that I wanted. I think it kind of plays with how you want to play the game, and also like for specific characters being different weight classes. I think that you have a different cart for each character. At least I did, in terms of like maximizing their potential. At least that's
I didn't
just from how I was playing. In terms of characters, I do have a little bit of beef. My boy Iggy is not in the game. The only Koopaling in this game is Bowser Jr.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, in Mario Kart 8 on Wii U, the Koopalings weren't in the base game. They got added with Deluxe.
Were they not?
I'm pretty sure they got added with Deluxe.
I think the only ones that were added with Deluxe were like the Animal Crossings and Links, and you had the fucking
no, because a lot of those
Alexis
were DLC characters in 8's original run.
Well, I'm curious. I gotta look it up.
Yeah. I'm fairly certain a lot of those got added later, and I guess that's a great example of like who to add later. Other than that, is the roster like just pretty? I mean, like in the trailer, they're showing off crazy things like Moo Moo Cow and Piranha Plant and like Bonefish. I think I saw in one piece of things. So like these are all characters that you can play as just these random things. How's the roster? What are you looking at with all this?
I think it's pretty solid. It's cool, a lot of the things that they added, but I don't think it's worth losing kind of some of the characters that we did. Like the only Kong we have in this is Donkey Kong. There's no Diddy, there's no Funky. I think they had Dixie Kong in the character pass or whatever, towards the end of Mario Kart 8's lifespan. Same with how they added Diddy and Funky. But I'd be curious to know if and when they do decide to add DLC characters, who they would choose to add. Because in all the trailers, it did seem like this was kind of like the everyone is here kind of moment in terms of the character roster. I mean, but it's kind of
if you're gonna put the Moo Moo Cow in there, you better you would imagine having everybody else.
Right, but that's the thing is it's really just Mario, Luigi, Daisy, Peach, Toad, Donkey Kong, Bowser Jr. That kind of the main roster, like Birdo, Yoshi, Shy Guy, but none of the like fun, newer, like kind of off the wall picks, like the cow, like Bonefish, like Piranha Plant, Goomba. None of them have alternate costumes.
Oh,
they're just the base character. Yeah,
that's boring.
Yeah.
It's-
But
yeah,
like, you know, it kind of opens up the opportunity for like if and when they add DLC, if they will add more costumes for all these characters or not,
oh, I'm sure
you
they
know.
will. I'm
Um,
certain they will.
but as of right now, like, and also not all characters are created equally in terms of how many costumes they have. Like the big ones, Mario, Luigi, Peach, like your main roster, they have upwards of 8 or 9 different costumes. But Donkey Kong only has one alternate costume.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
disappointing.
Donkey Kong has one alternate costume. Shy Guy only has two alternate it was 2 or 3 alternate costumes. I can't remember exactly. But the fact that Shy Guy has more alternate costumes than Donkey Kong
That's
is
a
kind of
problem.
crazy.
That's a problem. Can you still pick your color with characters like Shy Guy?
So no, it's still just the red Shy Guy, but in different costumes.
Oh, that's disappointing.
And Yoshi, all the different colors are just different costumes. Like the purple one is like a fancy man, like with a top hat and a monocle. The light blue one is the one that does that hands out the food. Like, you know, you can run around and see different food, and that's how you collect the different costumes. Um, but it seems to be only certain food gives you certain things, and some characters the food doesn't do anything to them. It just makes them just it provides a quick speed boost and that's it. It doesn't do anything.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, okay. There just seems to be like from what you're saying, just like an inconsistency to some of these design elements that I gotta scratch my head at and go, well, why?
Yeah.
Um,
It is quite head scratch inducing, I would say.
like, why are you giving me Bonefish but not Diddy Kong or
Yeah.
more Koopalings or anything? That's crazy. Um, the track design, you said it feels pretty samey just because the roads have to be more wide open. Can you
Right.
talk a little more in depth on that? Like, are you still seeing like differences in actual track layout, like in terms of like turns and things you're taking?
Yeah.
Or
I mean, they're not all like your typical NASCAR, like 4 left turns and you're done, right? There is only one of them, like there's no baby park in this, but there's a baby park like which kind of takes a spin on it where you're kind of on a beach where like it kind of varies from like, hey, you're more in the water in this section and then you're back on the shore. But it's that typical like 6 laps, you know, it's just a big circle. Um, and then there's your ones that kind of weave in on themselves and kind of go under the water for a little bit. Oh no, you don't go underwater. You stay on top of the water, but you're in like this kind of cavern, and then you kind of go up and you shoot out the top almost. There's a really cool level that I like a lot, DK Spaceport, where they kind of play on the original Donkey Kong game design and how like barrels are getting thrown at you. So you're going up this like slanted area back and forth, and that's a lot of fun.
is the aesthetic like Donkey Kong, or is it just the barrels getting thrown at you, or what you're talking about?
I think I want to say it's either red or like a kind of dark orange,
Okay.
kind of like the girder type deal, where you know it's in Donkey Kong, it's just all the girders and you're getting thrown barrels at. But at the end, there's like a big mecha Donkey Kong that's like throwing some barrels and shooting stuff at you, which is really interesting. And then like he's like standing right in front of the goal. It's almost like Ready Player One, you know, like in the bit with King Kong, and he's like stopping all the racers and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've not seen the movie.
Oh, okay. I thought you had.
No. So are these tracks? Do you feel like these tracks are like reaching the like heights of creativity that we saw kind of with some of the stuff in Mario Kart 8, or are like is it just like kind of aesthetic things, or even like in like older Mario Karts? Like I remember in Double Dash, like DK Mountain, like there's parts of the track that are like destroyed, and you got to be careful of like more cliffs that you can fall off and stuff. Like, are we still like having fun with the actual track courses, or is it just the aesthetics around the track that are diverse?
It's mostly the aesthetics around the tracks that are diverse. I think there are some tracks where they kind of take big swings, and I think all the places where they do take big swings, they land. Boo Cinema is really fun. You drive into this big haunted cinema, and then you drive into the screen, and you're almost like inside of this movie of this track essentially, which is really neat. The DK Spaceport I think is really interesting and fun. The new Rainbow Road is really, really good, like I mentioned. But overall, I think track design is kind of lacking, because there's not enough where they take big swings that would make it stick out further than Mario Kart 8's kind of creativity.
Okay. So, well, then I would assume in lieu of that, we have this open world, and
Right.
yes, it's empty. But how is like the design or even the level design, like the topography, how you get around the world, traversal in the world? How is all that working out for you?
It's been pretty good. There are some moments where like it's still trying to get used to exactly how like the carts work, because they are a little bit different than they were. Like there's the stationary hop you can do, and you can grind on rails and essentially drive on walls for a short period of time. And it's interesting. I don't know if I would rather have this than going back to the zero gravity gimmick or like the underwater gimmicks they were having in Mario Kart 8. It's still cool in the different ways, and I've seen online all the different ways that people create their own shortcuts in some of these tracks. But whenever you're kind of going from track to track in a Grand Prix and interacting with that open world on the way, it is kind of interesting. But it's once again, it's kind of like, okay, we're going from this kind of like Japanese temple style aesthetic to kind of like through this snowy area, and then we're in Boo Cinema, right? And it just seems very okay. We're here, then we're here, and now we're here, but it's not really changing the track. It's really just the regular aesthetics around it. And then the open world. The only times you're really exploring stuff outside of like an actual road in the open world is when you're doing these P-switch challenges, and you're like kind of going off the beaten path, and there's a switch over there, let me hit it, and then it'll pop up, like it'll poof in a little water like jet ski course that you have to avoid hitting the walls, otherwise you'll get sent back to the start. And there's some interesting like events that sometimes happen, like you'll drive behind a car that's dropping mushrooms, or one that's dropping food, or you can go up a one that has like a slant, like a ramp, right? And some of them are like dropping like sometimes stars will fall from the sky, and they're just power stars, right? So like you'll get a quick power boost from the power star. But overall, I think that like if you have the Switch 2, I don't know why you wouldn't get this game. I feel like this being the console seller for the Switch 2, I think overall it's kind of lacking, especially at the $80 price point. If you're not able to kind of get the bundle where you can essentially get the game for $50 instead of $80, I don't see why you would go for the $80 thing. I mean, sure, I'm going to get enough time out of it just from playing, because it's the new Mario Kart. I'm going to play this game at parties. People are going to come over and we're going to play a couple rounds, but I don't see it as that big system seller.
Wow. That's unfortunate, because it's being presented as one. So even though the game's good, it's just not worth asking price or even the attention that it's been getting by marketing.
That's kind of where I'm at with it.
That's a little disappointing to hear. I'm glad that the game is still good and fun. But coming off of the success, I mean, it just seemed like such an easy win coming off of the success that we saw with 8 Deluxe and what that did on Switch. And that's the highest selling Switch game by far. And for them to just not be able to, it sounds like they didn't learn lessons, or it sounds like they took away more than they added.
Yeah, and like I don't want to seem like I'm being super negative. I just think the game at this state is not worth the asking price. I just think whenever they do end up kind of rolling out more content, which will more than likely also have to be paid for, I wonder when they finally hit that balance where it's like, okay, well, you're paying this much for it, but we have all this extra content in the game, right? Granted, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe had its fair share of free DLC, so I wonder how much of the DLC we're going to get for World, how much of it will be free, how much of it will be paid. It remains to be seen. Who knows?
So let's kind of talk about that, because it being an open world design, it's not as easy to just add, because are all the tracks in the open world?
Yes.
Okay. So
All except for I think Rainbow Road is the only one that's not technically
you got to go to a
in the
different
open world,
location
or at
and it'll
least
shoot you to Rainbow Road.
I mean possibly. I haven't gotten to it yet, but the only time I've ever accessed Rainbow Road is through the Grand Prix.
Okay. Well, then that begs the question of like, okay, so when we add tracks, how do we add them? Like, are we just adding pre's? That's not fun for Knockout Tour. Are we adding a new map? Are we adding new tracks onto the map that already exists? Are these tracks like far apart? Like, is there space for more?
As far as like between tracks, I don't know how they're going to do that. I could see them adding like islands, like kind of washing up and connecting to like the mainland or something like that. I could see something like that happening.
Okay. All right. I could see that. All right. And then, of course, track packs, probably a lot of returning tracks. And then, hopefully some new stuff. Characters. I mean, you talked about a few of these already that you would like to see with the Koopalings. Who else?
Yeah.
Like, do we need to see, or should we see?
I think maybe if they don't go so much for like more characters other than what I've said, but they kind of add more costumes. Like Pauline is another one that only has one alternate costume.
Oh yeah, gotta give her more.
Yeah, you gotta give her more to wear. Like give her like a fun jazzy outfit or something.
Okay. And then I mean they experimented a little bit of it with Mario Kart 8, especially with Deluxe of like bringing it in crossovers from other IPs and so forth. You mentioned Animal Crossing, Legend of Zelda. That I would assume would be an easy get here. Here's the Legend of Zelda pack, and an island washes up, and it's Zelda-based maps, Zelda characters that you can play as, Zelda-inspired costumes for the other characters. Like, does that seem like an easy win, or is that like just something that you just? I don't know if I see them going that extensive on this.
I mean, it seems like it would be a pretty easy win. My thing is, I don't know if they would do more characters than just like, I think maybe we'll get like a Nintendo All-Stars pack where like we kind of get like Isabelle, Link, maybe Kirby, just to, like around the time that Kirby's the racing game for Kirby comes around, and kind of have tracks inspired by like each of their individual games, and not necessarily have like a dedicated Legend of Zelda pack, a dedicated dedicated Animal Crossing pack, a dedicated Kirby pack. I think maybe you just put them all together or something like that.
Well, let me take a step back then. Do you see them committing to this open world design and having ways to each course from each map, or do you just see them sticking new maps into a Grand Prix menu?
I think it would kind of beg the question of why even make the game open world if you were just going to add Grand Prix. I feel like they would have to kind of make them accessible from the open world.
I mean, I guess, but like if it's not going on, unless they're adding more landmass to it magically,
right?
If it's just like islands outside of it, like just connecting via a bridge or two seems like boring design to me. But I mean, it sounds like a lot of the open world is boring design anyway.
It's a relatively like small map, like in terms of like you can get from one end to the other relatively quickly.
Okay.
So I don't anticipate it being super out of left field for them to add more landmass.
Yeah.
In some way.
I just want the magical moment in the direct where like, they show the map and then they're like, I don't know, they have a track and they want to like squeeze it in and it doesn't make sense. So then like magically more land just pops up on the left side of the map. Like it's just more land, like a whole nother region or something. Like that would be a great moment in a direct, but like, are they going to do it is the problem, or is it going to be like, are they going to be that creative with it, or is it just going to be, a little more generic or boring, or like, it's just attached by bridges or something.
Right.
So I don't know. Rainbow Road, you shoot up. Any chance for like more space stuff then?
I could see them doing something like that. Yeah. I mean, maybe have some more stuff like in the sky. Like they have one segment. I think it's like Question Block Ruins, which is actually a pretty solid new map. But it comes like you shoot out of essentially like a geyser, from like being the jet ski mode onto this geyser, and then you shoot up through the clouds, and then you're in Question Block Ruins. That seems to be the only one that's really like that. But I could see them kind of doing more stuff in that same vein.
You said there's like no underwater at all, because I mean we got a lot of underwater in
No,
Mario Kart 8.
there's no. You do not go underwater.
All right, well, I mean, I guess that's more space for more stuff later, I guess. But I mean, that's so disappointing because so much of from my understanding, so much of the booster pack stuff in 8 Deluxe was stuff from the mobile game.
Tour, yeah.
Yeah, tour. And so I thought, in my head, that meant, oh, well, we're saving good designs for what's to come next. And it sounds like it just feels like a pretty bog standard selection.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I think the only ones that really stay with me in terms of them being solid design wise are DK Spaceport, Boo Cinema, and the new Rainbow Road. Maybe the new Rosalina track. I can't remember the name is escaping me right now, but it's connected kind of to the DK pass, or like the kind of DK Summit or whatever you'd call it. It's kind of attached to that. And it's higher up, so it kind of, you have a clearer view of the stars, but it's not as high up as, so where I would say it's in space, but that's why it's like the Rosalina vibe. That's the only other one that really like sticks out to me. There's also there's a really good I think it's Dino Mountain, which is another solid level, but you add 2 more dinosaurs than the one that was on GameCube, right? And that's basically it. There's another one that's like a safari, and that's kind of neat. Like zebras kind of run alongside you on the grass while you're on the road. There's giraffes at some point. Like, I don't know. It's
Gotcha.
Overall, I think it's very disappointing is too negative a word, because I wouldn't say I'm disappointed. I'm maybe a little underwhelmed. I don't know.
Got you. Other than Grand Prix, Knockout Tour, how are the other modes?
Battle mode. It's the same as it always is. The coin one, it's the inferior version of the battle mode. The open world like exploration, I don't really have any other people that have played this game, so I don't know how it is. Like, to my knowledge, you can't split screen in the open world. Like,
oh wow,
me and Ash weren't able to be in the open world together.
Well, does
other than like passing the controller back and forth.
Split screen?
Yeah, that one does.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. So they're clearly like carving out, like they're just not rendering as much. Okay.
Right. And then the other only other modes there are like time trial, and the versus race, but that's essentially just creating your own Grand Prix.
Got you. Okay. All right. We're sounding a little mixed bag on this one, just because the standard is high. The standard is high. So yeah, but very nice. Thank you, Phil. Anything else you want to leave us off with? Thoughts, ideas about Mario Kart World, where we're going, where we're at, or just things that you enjoyed about it?
I think just the overall feel of like the speed. I think at first brush, like I felt like it was a slower game, but whenever you're like in the flow state and hopping between rails and jumping off walls, it feels really, really good and really, really frantic and fast. I think it feels really good, but overall, I think I would prefer to just play Mario Kart 8.
Wow. Oh, no. Oh, okay. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for your TwoPennyGames review of Mario Kart World. Drop down in the comments below. What do you think about Mario Kart World? Is it worth the $80 that they're asking for? Is this a great first launch game for the Nintendo Switch 2? Have you gotten a Nintendo Switch 2? All of that down in the comments below. And until next time, have a great time. Phil, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.